women make up more than half the population in America. Yet we are 1/5 of US representatives and senators. We are only 1 out of 4 state legislators. We are only 6 out of 50 governors, and we are only 19% of mayors in America. Break that down to women of color and people of color, and it's even less. Are we cultivating the next generation of women of color and people of color to be in the room where it happens, to make sure that our voices are heard and our perspectives and lived experiences that we bring are represented to make good policy? And if we're not in the room where it happens, is it going to be good policy? I think Kim McMillan, the Clarksville, Tennessee mayor, summed it up best when speaking to the New York Times about the recent scandals of sexual harassment. And if you've been following along, even our own Springfield Capitol is dealing with this sexual harassment. You need people at the table who can explain to them what the effect of their words are. If there are no women to explain why that is sexist or why they can't say that, I don't know if you can ever get people to understand that their words really do matter and their actions really do matter. If women are not at the table or in the rooms, then decisions about our lives are being made without us. And to illustrate this point and the perspective that I now bring into my leadership role is to share a little bit about myself. I'm from Granite City, Illinois, born and raised. This is my childhood home. It's a town of about 30,000 people, once home to 3 steel factories, now sadly idling at 1. My dad, still to this day, a union painter, proudly stripes our streets. My mother, who worked for a nonprofit for over 20 years, helping our youth in after-school programs. But with the first state budget impasse, sadly lost her job as she was the first to go because she did not have a college degree. But they were never bitter, always resilient, always wanted their children to have better opportunities than they did. So they sacrificed so that their kids could have more. And they taught us how to treat people with respect and how we wanted to be treated, to stay grounded in our faith, and to make sure that we always gave back to our communities and to people for the opportunities we received. So I went on to college, the University of Illinois, first in my family to graduate college. And from there, I signed up for an internship for a local judge's race. And it was there where I actually saw where people ran for office to affect change in their community. And that's where I was first exposed to actually that public service could be a career. However, as I moved on in my career at 25, working with Senate President John Cullerton and the Senate Democrats to bring elections in 2010 and victories in 2010, to at 28 being Senator Durbin's campaign manager, running a $10 million budget and a statewide campaign, to age 30 becoming Mayor Emanuel's second female legislative director in the history of Chicago. I'm talking 1837 people. And the first Latina, to at 32, my time, I gotta go. At 32, being the second female to hold this office at City Clerk of Chicago, the second female and second Latina. But as I moved along in my career, I noticed that less and less women were in the room, and women of color were in the room at the table on the political side and the government side. And I want to share one short story to illustrate this further. In 2014, I was not only running Senator Durbin's campaign, but I was also in charge of putting together the Democratic strategy to get Democrats from the top of the ticket to the bottom of the ticket elected. And I was super excited. I was building coalitions. I was trying to herd the cats. I was building the plan, and we were ready. We were prepared. And the senator asked me to come along to a meeting to talk about this plan and strategy with the governor, the Speaker of the House, and the Senate President. I remember being so excited to be part of this meeting and walking in and taking my place at the table, and I'm ready, and I'm organized, I'm prepared, and noticing again, I'm the only woman at the table and woman of color. But what Senator Durbin did for me at that moment was that he gave me the space and opportunity to become a leader. He let me run that meeting as an ally with him, but I was ready to step into that moment and seize that opportunity. And I did not disappoint. I brought the perspectives of the girl from Granite City and the Latina here in Chicago to that room. Those perspectives were the success of that plan. And because of that, we won in 2014. And I think it's often this story and these moments that have helped get me to where I am today. And it's the qualities about the leadership that we must build. And as I go ahead in now this new position of leadership, I think about what is it as a leader that I need to be? Well, we as leaders all in this room need to be intentional. We need to be intentional about finding that diverse talent because there are more Anna Valencias out there that are ready, that are organized, that are prepared, and just need that moment and opportunity that Senator Durbin gave to me to lead. We are not unicorns, and we have to meet these next millennials out there. We have to help them find the door of opportunity when they don't even know a door exists, and then we have to bring them along, empower them, and let their voice matter at the table. And to the millennial leaders here today, my generation, we also need to cultivate our talent. We need to make sure that we are preparing ourselves and organized and ready when those moments come, and we need to seize them. And we need to continue to hustle for these opportunities as well. And we have to stop texting and start talking and having dialogues and discussions with people that we want to be and make them notice us and help them get us ready. And I love a good protest, but we also have to participate. We have to get inside the room, because when we get inside those rooms, that's where the magic happens. That's when we are making policies that will positively impact our communities. And here in Chicago, in the last few years, we have really made progress in finding and cultivating leaders that reflect our communities. And just, I think, in Chicago, the work we've done here can be a national model and a state and something for our state and other cities to look to. In the last few years, we now have our first Black female Cook County State's Attorney, the only female of color in 102 counties in Illinois. We now have an Asian American U.S. Senator in D.C. representing our state. And we now have a Latino leading city colleges who is focusing our youth on college to careers. And we now have a Black female leading rural business Chicago, focusing on getting global corporations to move to Chicago. And can anyone dispute that these institutions are stronger now because we have leaders that have lived experiences and know and understand that the people they serve because they once were the people that they now serve? That is what's going to make this country stronger. That's what's going to unite this country. And so we must ask, what's at stake if we don't do this? If we aren't being intentional about finding these leaders out there and cultivating them, empowering them, and giving them their leadership roles, then in the next 30 years, we're going to still have the same fight we do for income equality. And we're going to still have the same fight 30 years now on sexual harassment. And 30 years from now, we're going to still be fighting for access to affordable childcare, many barriers that women and women of color face to get to the top of the leader. So I ask you today to ask yourself what you're doing to cultivate the next talent. And that's what's at stake. Thank you.